The old photo album revealed a hidden family secret. It all started during one of those storms that feel personal. January 2025, Lima turned into a brown river, the roof of the old Barranco house leaking in 3 different places, and my mom wearing the face of someone who no longer has the energy to argue with the bank. She called me because she needed young hands to empty the back room before the distant cousins, the ones who never contributed a single soul, showed up to claim whatever scraps were left. Among black garbage bags stuffed with shoes that reeked of mothballs, boxes of Juan Gabriel cassettes nobody had played since the 1992 divorce, and a giant cracked glass portrait of the Virgin of Choppy, I found the box. It wasn't just any box. Thick cardboard, the kind they used to pack black and white TVs in the old days, wrapped in ancient brown packing tape that crumbled like dead skin when you touched it. On top, in faded black marker turned purple with time, just 3 words. Photos, do not open, 1998. My mom saw it from the doorway and froze. She didn't say anything at first, just took one deep breath, as if the air had suddenly gained 10 kilos. Then, almost in a whisper, "Andres, leave it. That's not for opening." But I had already picked it up, and I had already opened it. Inside, 3 large faux leather brown albums with rusty metal clasps. 2 of them were nearly empty, as if someone had started assembling memories and then gave up halfway. The third one was packed. Too packed. The first pages were the classic stuff you expect from a mid-20th century middle-upper-class Lima family. My great-grandmother in a cloche hat and pearl necklace at the Monterrico Hippodrome, 1942. My grandfather at 8 years old in a sailor suit on Chorrillos Beach, terrified face because the waves were wetting his brand-new shoes. My grandparents' wedding at San Pedro Church, 1951, drowning in an obscene amount of gardenias, the bride and groom looking more scared than in love. And then, the first crack. In a 1955 birthday photo, my grandfather's 27th, 16 people gathered around a table loaded with truffled turkey and champagne. Everyone smiling. Everyone except one perfect hole. A hole shaped like a young man. Not someone accidentally missing. Someone took very fine-point scissors and cut with surgical patience. You can see the clean edges of the cut. You can see how the shirt of the person next to him floats without a shoulder to hold it. You can see my grandmother's arm, clearly resting on the absent person's shoulder, now hugging nothing but air. I turned the page. More holes. More erased silhouettes. In the 1959 New Year's photo, 14 adults raising champagne glasses. Between my grandfather and his older sister, there's an exact torso-sized gap. My grandfather's left arm is stretched, as if he's hugging someone by the shoulders who's no longer there. His older sister's right hand rests on nothing, just cut out air. In my mom's first communion photo, 1968, she's 7, white veil, mother of pearl crucifix. To her left, a large adult male hand holds hers tenderly. That hand ends in nothing. The suit sleeve just hangs there like the owner's arm was amputated while still alive. I felt a cold that had nothing to do with the broken roof or the rain. I reached the last page of the album. And there, stuck with relatively new masking tape, as if someone had placed it maybe in the last 10 years, was the only photo no one dared to touch. Black and white, postcard size, scalloped edges, a young man in his mid-20s, dark double-breasted suit, thin tie, hair slicked back with brilliantine. A contained smile, eyes staring straight into the camera as if saying, "I know you're going to try to erase me." Behind him, slightly out of focus, the gazebo and Parque de la Exposition. On the back, in blue fountain pen ink, perfect schoolgirl handwriting. Eduardo, summer of 1953. Don't let them forget you. And below that, years later, in shaky black ink, as if written by a hand that was crying. Forgive me, my son. I couldn't protect you. I sat on the dusty floor surrounded by mutilated memories for about 40 minutes. When I looked up, my mom was standing in the doorway, crying in absolute silence. The kind of crying you perfect after decades of training yourself not to make a sound. I only managed to ask, "Who was he?" She looked at me like I'd just stabbed her. "Your grandfather had an older brother. His name was Eduardo Antonio. And for this family, Eduardo was never born. What follows is what I managed to piece together over the next 9 months. I talked to great-aunts who can barely hear anymore, to a second cousin in Miami who hung up on me twice before finally telling me something, to the 94-year-old neighbor on General Garcon Street who still remembers names, dates, and gossip with surgical precision, to unique documents I had to pay expedited service bribes for and wait in line since 5 a.m., to a letter I found hidden inside my great-grandmother's old Bible. Eduardo Antonio Valdivieso Echegaray. Born April 12, 1928, in Lima. Firstborn, the favorite, the one with the voice that could hush an entire block when he sang boleros, the one destined to be a doctor, the one my great-grandmother paraded around holding hands, showing off like a trophy. He was also gay. In 1950s Peru, under Odria's dictatorship, that wasn't just a sin. It was a crime. It was a scandal that could cost you your freedom, your reputation, your life. He had a nearly 4-year relationship with a young man named Carlos Herrera, a junior clerk at the Ministry of Finance. They met in parks at dusk, in matinee showings at the Metropolitan Cinema, in discreet downtown boarding houses where nobody asked for names. They were careful, until someone betrayed them. October 1953, a police raid on a house of assignation on Avenida Garcilaso. It wasn't random. Someone pointed them out. Someone who knew exactly where they would be. Someone who ate Sunday lunch at the same family table. Both were arrested. Carlos was sent for 18 months to a military post in Cerro de Pasco to cool his head. Eduardo was returned home with a warning from the police chief. If we catch him again in immoral conduct, he goes straight to Larco Herrera, to the psychiatric ward for the insane. And he doesn't come out. The family made the decision many families made back then. Not to kill him physically, too scandalous. Just to kill him in memory. They changed his name in handwritten family trees. They stopped mentioning him in conversations. The photos were methodically mutilated over the next 15 years, every time someone pulled out the album to show the family. My great-grandmother, the one who loved him most, was the one who used the scissors the most. They say she did it crying in the kitchen at 3 a.m, alone. In December 1961, he was found dead on the Lima-Callao train tracks, near Balta Bridge. The police report said, traffic accident. The whispered neighborhood version that lasted for decades, he jumped. Or someone pushed him. No one wanted to investigate too closely. He was 33 years old. The death certificate reads, single, no children, accident. It doesn't say someone loved him desperately. It doesn't say his family preferred to bury him alive rather than accept who he was. It doesn't say his mother spent the last 22 years of her life staring at that one intact photo, silently repeating, forgive me. For decades, at family gatherings, if anyone accidentally said Eduardo, a drunk cousin, an aunt with early Alzheimer's, a silence so thick fell over the room you could feel it on your skin. Then someone would violently change the subject. Who's bringing dessert? The last person who tried to talk about him was my grandfather, already in the hospital in 1987. According to my mom, he said in an almost extinguished voice, when I die, I want his name on the headstone too, even if it's small, down at the bottom. At least let it be written somewhere. It never happened. The headstone only has my grandparents' names, as if Eduardo had never existed. Today, Eduardo's photo sits on my nightstand, the only one left untouched. I look at it every night before sleeping, and every time I think the same thing. I'm sorry, great uncle. I arrived 70 years too late. But at least now your name isn't lost in the silence. And if I ever have children, I will tell them everything. No cuts. No scissors. No merciful lies. Because forced forgetting is another form of violence. And there's already been enough. Thanks for reading all the way to the end. If you're crying, yeah, me too.